Welcome, everyone, to Turn Your IEP Experience into Income. I'm excited to be here with you today. We're going to go over quite a bit of information, but here's the important thing to know. If you are here live, please use the chat box. There's a lot of information that I do not cram onto the screen and make this a tutorial where I'm reading bullet points to you. This is about you asking questions and interacting. If you are watching the replay of this, you'll find my email address here. It's Catherine@masteripcoach.com. You can send in questions at any time. I want to make sure that you get every question answered, so you can see if this is the right next step for you to turn your IEP experience into income. Now, most of you have probably Googled something like how to become an IEP advocate, or how much do IEP advocates make? That's a lot of times what people think of when they hear turn your IEP experience into income. I'm actually going to share with you 3 different ways to create income with your IEP experience. But tell me, those who are here live with me right now, tell me, when you think about like, okay, maybe I want to help parents through the IEP process. Maybe I want to take this on. How do you feel? Like when you start Googling it, when you start thinking about what that looks like, do you become overwhelmed with the thought of it? Are you already overworked and you're like, yeah, right? Like, I don't know if I can fit this in. Do you have objections, whether it's your own self-talk or other people who are like, are you serious? Like, do you really want to do that? Are you sure? Do you feel like there's obstacles in your way? Or you might even feel like an outcast. I know that that's how I have felt a lot of times on this journey. It's kind of like an outcast of like, I want to do things differently. I don't want to be a traditional advocate. I knew the classroom was not the right place for me long term. I'll share with you a bit about my story and how I ended up here, but I just want to pop here into the chat box, and I see a lot of overwhelmed. Okay, so let's simplify things. We're going to simplify things today. Everybody who put overwhelmed, I want you, when things start to feel overwhelming, I want you to ask a question while you're watching and say like, how does this work? Or that feels confusing, or what does that mean in there? So overwhelmed about how to set it all up. Yes, that's a big piece. Overworked and an outcast. Yes. We have retired educator. I'm ready to work. Yes. I need to learn more. I need to help parents because I know that there are issues out there. Yes, absolutely. So just know that you're not alone if you're feeling these things. This is very, very common to have these feelings. I want to just do full disclosure right now. Today, I'm not going to give you any legal advice, whether that's business legal advice or IEP law legal advice. I don't do legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. If you think of special education as the blame game and you're like, you know what? I want to help parents through the IEP process because the schools do everything wrong, and I want to prove that. This isn't the right place for you because we don't play the blame game. Because I've been a special education teacher. I know special education teachers. That's not true. It's not true. Doesn't mean that everybody doesn't have their own piece of what's going on, but we don't play the blame game. If you are stubborn, like this is just how it is, and it's just never going to change, not your place. I am filled with hope and possibilities. After doing this for 30 years, I'm still filled with hope and possibilities because I can see change happening every day when we do things differently. If you like being stuck, I can't. I just can't get it. Or you're stuck on, something that burned you in the past, right? Something happened and you're stuck there. That's not okay. All right. We got to get unstuck. If you're like, yeah, I'm in. All of this sounds great. Let's keep going. Let's do it. All right. I just want to share with you that the things that I'm going to talk to you about today, this is not something that I came up with, last month. And I thought, you know what, this would be really cool to help other people. This is something that I've been doing for a very long time. So for 30 years, I've been doing this myself. And what is this? We'll get into that. But I've also been coaching other parent, teachers, admins, and therapists to do what I do. I turned my IEP experience into income outside of the classroom. I've been teaching this since 2017. So you're not the first people that I've talked to. This is not my first go around with this. There's been a lot of lessons learned in a beautiful way of what you can do. I've been able to help hundreds of parents, teachers, admins, and therapists do exactly what I'm going to show you today. So you can just see here, Lisa's like, it's a year later and things are going well. Danielle says, I watched this a lot of times. Like I've seen Catherine doing her stuff and I wasn't going to do this because there's an investment into it. And finally I did it and it's been worth every penny. Or we have Cassandra who's like, okay, word of mouth referrals are happening. Like things are picking up. And that's what happens. Just no, I'm not going to teach you something that's going to tell you that tomorrow you're going to have a full calendar of clients. I am so reality based of this is what it looks like. If you put this effort in, this is most likely the results that you can expect. And for some of you, that's going to be a large amount of time to get started. For some of you, that's going to be a small amount of time. It works. No matter if you're going to put a small amount of time or a large amount of time, it's possible. So we're going to cover 3 things today: how you can support parents and possibly IEP teams too, how you can find clients and create income, and why this is different than other things that are out there. Now, again, inside of these 3 things, it requires you who are here live. And then if you're watching the replay, you can send me an email. It requires you to ask the questions for the knowledge gaps that you have. Okay. Because I'm not going to put everything up on the screen. I'm going to give you an outline. We're going to have some talking points and you're going to pop into the chat box and give me questions. I can promise you that none of this is just theory. This is stuff that I've been using personally for over 30 years to create income and a lifestyle that I never thought possible. And I want to talk about that word lifestyle just for a minute, because I'm not talking about lifestyle like lifestyle, okay? And all of the abundant material things. I'm talking about lifestyle as in I got to make decisions and I didn't have to penny pinch all the time once I figured these things out. I'm talking about lifestyle that I don't know what your values are. I don't know what things are important to you. I don't know what season of life you're in, but I would love for you to put something in the chat box and tell me, what does lifestyle mean? I will tell you, when I first figured out how to do this, turn my IEP experience into income without going to IEP meetings, because that's an option for those of you who are like, I don't see myself sitting at IEP meetings all day long. Like, can I maybe do some of that, but do some other things? I needed a lifestyle that was different than a traditional advocate, because my daughter, my youngest daughter at the time, she was 3 years old, 4 years old. She was having severe seizures. I had to work from home and I couldn't just pick up and go to a meeting outside of the house. So like I needed a lifestyle that fit around me being mom, especially when she needed it. I went through a season of being a single mom. I was divorced. I needed a whole different working lifestyle. I need a different lifestyle when I got remarried. Lifestyle, what does that mean? It means be flexible. I love that. I see a lot of flexibility. You guys are looking for a lot of flexibility or a second career. Lifestyle equals freedom. So yeah, lifestyle is being able to make some decisions of what is important to you. So just keep that in mind. When I talk about things like money, income, those type of lifestyle things, I'm talking about what's important to you. Because now more than ever, this is why this is so important that you dig in. And if you have a drive that you want to turn your IEP experience into income, now more than ever, parents need people they can trust. They do. In our broken school system, notice, I did not say broken teachers. I did not say people who don't care. I did not say negative things about people. Our system has set it up where there's a lack of trust. And there have been some bad habits that have happened within that system on all sides. I hate that, sides of the IEP table, but on all sides of the IEP table, there have been bad habits. And when we get through some of those bad habits and we show parents in schools how they can work together, which if you're showing up here, that means that you have IEP experience. You have experience in helping parents and teachers come to a solution that is different than what anybody thought was possible. You helped people get unstuck. That's why you're here, and you want to do that some more. And I just want to put it out there that this mistrust is going to continue to accelerate with the misuse of AI. And I mean that in a lot of ways. There's AI, and I love AI. I use AI every day. But I use it to support myself as a human. I don't use it in place of being a human. Okay. I've already seen IEPs written and I'm like, oh, computer generated the entire thing beyond what we've ever even seen before. Okay. I've seen IEP advocacy letters computer generated. Because let's just say parents are not delving into things, right? You guys see that word delve everywhere right now, that AI, right? Red flags that AI wrote everything in there. We need humans to help bridge the gap of what is happening in special education, what has been happening and what's going to continue to happen. And we need people who parents can trust, and that can be you. All right. Let's see. I'm seeing here again in the chat box. I want to add purpose to my life. I want to work remotely so I can take care of my aging parents. Yes, absolutely. Using what I've learned to better things. Yes, absolutely. All right. Hang on. My screen is frozen here. We'll get that unfrozen. There we go. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, yes, that's me from the late 1990s. So people don't believe that I was a teacher back in the late 90s. I was. So I have a brother with Down syndrome. I went to school to be a special education teacher. I went all in, get my bachelor's, get my master's. In fact, I had my bachelor's by the time I was 20. So I was a 20-year-old teacher in the classroom, had my master's by 22, and I knew immediately the classroom was not my long-term path. I was teaching by day, and I was already having those side conversations with parents at night. Like, you know what? We could do things a little bit different, or let's try things a different way. So, of course, my motivation to get into special education was my brother with Down syndrome and my parents advocating for him. And I was like, I'm going to do things differently. So, you know, and just on the personal side, you know, I kind of did the standard thing. I got married, had a couple kids. Then I went through a divorce. Then I was a single mom, right? There was a whole season in there. That's when I decided to double down on turning my IEP experience into income. See, I had been already using this to create income for a long time, but you guys know when you go through a change of seasons and a different financial circumstances, when things are just going different in your life, you double down, you figure it out, right? And those are the things that I love to teach others to do. So here's how it's going right now. I've been a solopreneur for decades. I love it. I love being on my own, making my own decisions, doing my own thing. I love being able to drop everything for my family. All right. Although I'll be honest with you, sometimes they call me and I tell them I'm in a meeting. I'm in a meeting with myself. Sorry, can't pick up the phone right now. I'm too busy. Right? Sometimes you got to set those boundaries. But being able to just, you know, put my family first. And I've been solving special education struggles in three ways that are really significant. I'm going to show you those today. You guys might also know that I'm a host of the Special Education Inner Circle podcast. I'm founder of the Master IEP Coach programs. And it's something that it's really important for me to show others how to do what I've been able to do, because we need more. We need more positive people at the IEP table really helping parents. Okay, so let's get back to this. How can you support parents? How are you going to create income? And why is this different? Okay, so first way to create income. Let's just jump right into it. Supporting parents one-on-one through the IEP process. Coaching before and after meetings, attending meetings, and ghostwriter. All right? 3 different things. But I want to talk real quick about the difference between coaching and advocating. You can be a coach and an advocate. Okay, if you love traditional advocacy, if you're like, I love the law, I love all of the things about it, I want to memorize it, and I want to just use it in a traditional advocacy way. If you love that, go for it. You can be an advocate and a coach. I don't love it. Okay, I use the law when needed. I don't love it, as in it's not my driver. Okay, and you'll learn more about that as I talk about these things. Coaching is where we help people collaborate. We help them come to decision. We give parents really a significant role in coming up with the decision of what is right for their child. We're teaching. I know in this room, we have an immense amount of educators right now. You are a teacher. You can't help it. You're teaching all the time, even outside of your classroom. It's who you are. So teaching parents the why behind, why should we change the inclusion plan? Why is this not okay about the sensory breaks? How can we get this done? That education piece, we call it coaching when we're outside of the classroom. You're coaching. Most of the parents that I worked with, I never met in person and I never attended their IEP meetings, and I made a full-time salary. And when I say full-time salary, I'm going to say at least what I would have made as a teacher at the time or more. All right. That's how I judge my salary. When, you know, was I making good income? Am I making what I would make as a teacher or more? And that's when I was like, okay, this is successful. That was my version of success. All right. You might have a different version, but that's where I was at. So coaching before and after meetings, I had parents who were just like, could you please tell me what needs to be said at this meeting because I need this? And I would coach them through different circumstances. They were paying me for my time on the phone, not even on Zoom. No Zoom back then, okay? But even when there was Zoom, still a lot of times just on the phone. Okay? Because the parents are in the carpool lane. The parents are talking to you in the parking lot of Target. All right? So you can do this on the phone and you're coaching them through, oh, okay, so this is what happened in school. Okay, this is what needs to get done. Let's write a letter. And that's where ghostwriter comes in. I spent a lot of time ghostwriting letters, and I have all my templates for this. Ghostwriting letters that I gave to parents that parents would give to the IEP team. That's what coaching is. I never sent in a letter as an advocate. I never went to the team without the parent knowing. I never, and I shouldn't say not even without the parent knowing, because that does happen in the advocacy world sometimes, or without the parents being present. Parents were always involved, always involved. So most of you are, when I asked, how do you see yourself supporting parents through the IEP process? You saw yourself sitting with parents at IEP meetings and doing this. How many of you see this as the core work? You're like, yep, this is what I can see myself. I want to talk to parents before meetings. I might want to attend meetings with them. I'm going to talk to them after meetings. I'm going to help them write really clear letters so we can get documentation, so we can set timelines. I'm going to make sure that I give parents the voice, that I'm going to empower them to know what to say, how to say it, who to say it to. Because those are three big things, right? Especially if you already work on the inside of the school system, you know how you send a letter, what words you use, the tone that's in it, who you send it to, what format it's in. All of those things matter. Because an email versus a formal letter in a PDF versus something written to the entire team versus a note to the speech therapist, all of those things end up different. But learning how to help a parent through all of this typically is going to be your core work. So that's number one. That's our first way. So I say yes a lot. That's me. Yes. Plus attending the IEP meetings. Absolutely. All right. Speaking on stages, virtually or in person. Many of you, when I surveyed you, you were like, yes, I want to do this. I want to get on a stage. I want to teach. So where do you get on a stage? Parent support groups, nonprofits, professional development, not just at schools, but you know that I've been paid to go speak to doctors who diagnose disabilities. Because how many of you ever heard of a doctor who tried to prescribe an IEP? It happens. Okay. You've had a parent come in. Well, my doctor said I need an IEP. I'm like, doesn't work that way in the education world. Things are different. So doing professional development in the medical community, that's an opportunity. Professional development in the kind of like employment, HR, that's an opportunity. Other ways, podcasting. And yes, I put social media in there. I'm assuming none of you want to be a huge social media star, right? We're not here to be social media influencers, but social media is a great way that if you want to get paid to speak, it's a great place to put your voice out there. We use it as a vehicle. Okay. Coaching versus advocating. Let's talk about that when it comes to this. I have never gotten up on the stage, virtual or in person, and put a bunch of slides of ideal law behind me and pretended to teach the law to everybody. I don't do that. People can go Google that. They can get their rights law book. If you don't know what that is, we got to get it in your library. Okay. Rights law book. They're the lawyers. They explain it all, right? What I did and what you can do and what hundreds of other parents and teachers are doing is take your experience and show how the law works in the real world of special education when you find positive solutions. This is where your experience starts to come in even stronger. So if the law says least restrictive environment, there's a very clinical definition of that, right? However, all of you know that the least restrictive environment for each child is different, and you've come up with a creative solution of what that looks like for a child. Sharing that with other families gives them ideas on what least restrictive environment could be for them. So it's important for you to start integrating your experience. If we're going to create change, the best way to create change is for us to learn from the lessons that you already have. You know what it feels like to talk to somebody who has wisdom on things that you want to know. It's better than any book. It's better than any Google search. You just want to soak in the information. And that's who you can be for parents or teachers or professionals. You can use your experience and put it into a story, put it into a transformation. Now, sometimes you can get paid for this, and sometimes you'll do speaking for free, and we can talk about that a little bit too. But it's possible for both. It's absolutely possible. All right. I'm going to answer some questions really quick because I promised you guys that I would hop over into the chat box. Somebody says, will you have access to the slides? Yes, you'll have access to the slides. Do you need to have an LLC or a nonprofit? I can tell you, I personally do not recommend a nonprofit. I personally do not recommend it. Not legal advice. You're going to hear me say that a lot when I give business advice, okay? My choice for not having a nonprofit is because there's too much red tape. And you know what? I got enough red tape experience in special education that I don't want any more red tape. I don't want all of that. Do you need to have an LLC? It's typically a good idea to get an LLC at some point. Does not mean that you need to have it to get started. You can get started and then get an LLC, and they're super cheap. And we talk about that inside of coaching. Okay. So, but do you need to have it right now? No. Does one need a license through the state in which you work? In my experience, I have never once seen any place where you need to have any type of license to do what I am sharing with you to do. Okay. So I'm going to say no from my experience. And I've been doing this a long time, and I've worked in all 50 states. Okay. So start a sole proprietorship with insurance. So yep, I always have recommendations for a liability insurance. Again, super cheap. It's called errors and omissions. It basically means that if you make a mistake and somebody really calls you out on it and they're really angry, you'd have insurance for that. Knock on wood. Okay. I've never had to use it, but I have it. That's what good insurance is, right? Hopefully we never use it and we have it for that. Here's the thing. What you are going to be charging parents for the work that you're doing, most likely there's not going to be any type of repercussions in a monetary way for this. If you find a client and you guys are just not a good fit, a lot of times, and I shouldn't say a lot of times, this happened at most, maybe when I had a full calendar of clients. Now keep in mind, my full-time job right now is to help you. Okay. I don't work one-on-one with families anymore. When my calendar was full, maybe once a year, I would say to a parent, you know what, we're not a good fit. Let me help you find somebody else. Here's your money back. That's about as sticky as it got. Okay. What's the name of insurance? Yes, errors and omissions. And again, here, I'll give you the company that I use, Hiscox, Hiscox. Again, this is something that if you want to go research it, that's great. Hang with me. I'm going to show you how we're going to put it all together here also. So this is number 2. Number 2 is speaking on stages virtually or in person in these different arenas typically. Who's interested in number 2? Say me in the chat box. Who's like, I could see myself? Absolutely. I see a lot of me's. Okay. Got that. Yes. I love that, because the more we can share ideas about special education and share our experience, the more we're going to create change. Blogging and writing for yourself and others. Okay, starting your own blog, writing for others. If people are like, blogs don't, you know, they're not a thing anymore. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. All the time. People are looking, and I don't even have a huge blog. In fact, I took down most of my blog because I switched platforms for a reason, as in Master IEP Coach was growing and I needed to transfer things over. And so I actually took down a lot of my blog posts. Not a smart move. Okay. But I did, but we still get a ton of traffic from that. Writing for others. You can get paid to write for others. I get paid to write special education articles for others. I also do that for free because it helps me get clients. Okay. Social media journaling. Notice I said social media journaling, right? Because we're not going to talk about social media influencer world and gaining all these subscribers. But when you start journaling some things out on social media, if that's a platform that you want to use, we can talk about how to help get your voice, your experience out there so people get curious and they want to work with you. Again, we're doing this in a coaching versus advocating way. For everybody who is still currently in the classroom right now, or if you have another type of job that you are worried, can I do this and keep my job? Again, I'm going to say in my experience, yes. We're going on 8 years of me teaching teachers, parents, admins, and therapists to do this. I've had schools pay for their teachers to do this. I have schools that are super excited for teachers to come in with their Master IEP Coach shirts on. Okay. Because if you go Google Master IEP Coach, you will see that we have a collaborative, forget that, ask ChatGPT even. ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, pick your AI, put in about a Master IEP Coach. It comes up that we are collaborative. So when your boss starts saying like, oh my gosh, you know, is she an advocate? Is she going to start turning people against us? And then it actually comes up that you're out there educating parents on how to communicate clearly and collaborate with their IEP team. Don't be surprised if your school asks you to deliver PD and they want you to do it for free. Okay, don't do it for free. So I'll coach you through that piece too. We've got a lot of experience with that. So just know that I built this program specifically because I wanted to change that negative feeling. What kind of feeling when you hear an advocate's coming to the meeting or somebody's going to become an advocate or I need to get an advocate because, okay? So like when somebody says my district tracks social media, good. Let them see that you're out there saying, hey, parents, this is how you framework a complaint. So you can collaborate with your team and get through that situation. Okay. So somebody says, oh no, like that's what you think about when you think an advocate's coming. We think fighting, we think put the armor on. We think, oh gosh, they're going to play gotcha with the IEP. How many things can they find wrong? Right? That's not what we're looking for. When I talk about turning your IEP experience into income, I'm talking about you turning into the idea bringer, solution finder, and team builder at the IEP table. Idea bringer, solution finder, team builder. Those are core values. Leadership, collaboration. Every piece that I bring to you is with the goal of bridging the gap of misunderstandings on the IEP team, even through the ugly situations. Don't get me wrong. I am not all sunshine, unicorns, rainbows. Okay. I am not. I know that there are ugly situations in special education. I've also been through a lot of them, and there are ways to go through it that are different than we traditionally think about. Is there a list of trained coaches people can use to find a coach? Yes, there is. Absolutely. In fact, if you choose to work with me, you get to be on that list. And everybody who comes to me and says, I need some help, I send them to that directory. This directory is also recommended by many other organizations across the country in there. So we'll talk a bit about that. All right, let's keep going. I love the questions. Keep the questions coming. I just want to share with you, like, here's some more kind of celebrations. This is Becky, who is so excited to get her services up on her website. She's got her first client, and imposter syndrome is real. Do you guys know that term, imposter syndrome? Right? You're like, people are going to figure out I'm faking this. People are going to figure out that I really don't know what I'm doing behind the scenes to make this happen. Okay. And then here I'm sharing with you, this was somebody who attended one of my IEP workshops. This is where speaking makes such a big difference. So for those of you that are considering speaking, that you want to lean into this, just go for it. Because if you can get a room full, I don't care if there's 5 parents, 7 parents, 10 parents. get in the room with parents and show them what is possible. They will eat up what you have. They will take it to their teams, and you will start to change special education with this positive ripple effect. All right, let's keep on going. How are we going to get clients? First one is networking. Networking, okay? But there's a specific way to do it. In person, online, new and old connections. We are not going to say, I'm an advocate. Do you know any parents who need to hire an advocate, right? That's not networking. Networking is how are we going to start sharing solutions? How are we going to start sharing your experience? Because I can tell you, Sharon's experience is different than Kirsten's, which is different than Mary Ellen's experience, right? All of your experiences are different. If I asked you all to tell me a story about inclusion and how you took a struggling situation and turned it into a success, you would tell me a different story. That's networking. Because somebody's going to know somebody who says, you know what? Michelle is going through this with her child. She needs to talk to you. And those stories travel. And your impact travels. You can network online. There's ways to do this without being slimy, without being salesy. So there are letters that you can write, emails that you can send to organizations who want to collaborate with you. They are hungry for positive, hopeful people who have strategies who can help their members, whether that's a park district or a nonprofit, or it's a local resource fair that's going to happen. There's all different ways to network, and you have more people in your network. In fact, you could probably fill your calendar with clients with your current network right now if you knew how to approach your network. If you had all the pieces in place, you most likely have your full network waiting for you, but you just haven't put those pieces together and started to share that. Next one is speaking. This is where we talk about storytelling. This isn't just going up there and saying things about the law. This is about sharing your experience and transformation. This is how we find clients a lot of times. So we have networking with your current network, then expanding beyond that network, and then speaking. It can be huge. Do I help with setting up a website? Somebody's asking. Yes, I do. It's not legal to work with parents in your own district. I'd love to see a law that says that. Most likely that is a rumor that has been heard. However, I would never work with parents in your own district. If you are a teacher, even a former teacher in that district, it gets a little sticky. If you are a parent, I do not recommend taking clients in your child's district, right? We just put a little bit of separation. We go a couple towns over to make this happen. It just makes it a bit easier. So we're not worried about any conflicts in that. Okay. Writing. Learning to tell your stories in writing. Again, coaching versus advocating. We are not sending out things in writing that says, go tell the school they're doing it wrong if. We're learning to framework things. Now, I talked about blogging. I talked about my own blog. I talked about writing on social media. What I haven't shared is a newsletter. That's one of the most effective ways. In fact, most of you probably ended up here today because you're on my newsletter list. And I was like, hey, this is what's going on. Let me teach you something. And then I'm going to invite you to work with me. Like, you all know that I'm going to invite you to work with me, right? I mean, that's not a surprise. I'm going to invite you. And for some of you, it's going to be right. And for some of you, it's not going to be right now. And that's okay. So learning to write out on social media for blogs, to write a newsletter, to send this out to people who need your solution. They need your experiences. They need your perspective. They need your take on things. It's so very important. But those three ways, networking, speaking, writing, you can fill your calendar. All right. Coaching parents one-on-one, speaking on stages, blogging, writing, you can create income. If you guys have questions on those, pop them into the chat box. A lot of times I get the question, okay, so I'm going to get a client. How do I know exactly what to do? How do I know? Like, somebody wants my help. I want to let you know that I've built some tools behind the scenes that I don't share out in public. And one of them is called the IEP development wheel. This is a key tool that I love for parents and teachers, admins and therapists who decide to do this, they take the wheel and they evaluate. Think of it like an IEP scorecard. And it's things that you don't think of. It's things like making sure your accommodations and modifications section, maybe it says child will receive sensory breaks. Do you know what that means? Because I don't know what that means. What kind of sensory breaks? How often? How long? Where? With what? What does that mean? Right? So we got to think sensory breaks. What does that mean? Those are the kind of things, right? From your experience, you're going to use these tools and you're going to put your experience with it and you're going to help go through IEPs and you're going to fill the cracks in the IEP. You know that a lot of times the issues in special education are not big to start. They're little. They're little things that fall apart over and over and over and over. And parents get an instinct that something's not working and they want to talk to somebody and then they want to fix those things. And then they want to, how do I work with the team? How do I make this better? How do I get through this? How do I prep for the meeting? So if we work with you, do I walk you through the entire process? Yes, absolutely. Can this work to help special ed teachers as well as parents? Yes, it can. I talk about parents because most of you are going to make your income by helping parents, or at least the bulk of your income from helping parents one-on-one. Then typically second would be speaking, and third's going to be writing in some capacity. So that's typically the order. Now, I tell this story often, and I'll give you the short version today, that I was helping a parent with all the strategies that I share inside of my coaching program, helping parent with all of those. And we get through kind of a sticky IEP meeting, and just a lot of things had happened, and it was a long meeting, and I'm going out to the car and the admin's chasing me out to the car, basically is how I felt. I'm sure she wasn't actually running, but it felt like that. Felt like she was running at me. And that teacher in me, I don't care that I'd been out of the classroom for like, I don't know, 15, 20 years at that point. My heart's like, oh my gosh, the admin's chasing me. And I'm like, I'm in trouble. And she comes out and she says, who do you work for? And I'm like, oh gosh, myself. And she goes, really? And she says, can you come train my staff and teach them how to write IEPs like you just taught us in there? And I said, sure. And that was my first PD that I developed. And it was because I was approaching the IEP from a different way. I wrote inclusion plans differently. I looked at accommodations and modifications differently. I knew how to speak with parents and help them see where the school's perspective was at without the parent compromising so much they felt sick when they went home at night, but they knew that they were collaborating in that. So I love when you can take this and transfer this into the school. Just know that most of you are going to start with parents, but you may find school opportunities as you go. All right. Question. Can I work in my own district? I've been retired for quite a while. Sure, you can. Absolutely. There's no rule saying that you can't. And if you feel comfortable doing it, that's fine. I've had some teachers that leave, they're doing this full time and and then they end up working back in their district and they're basically trying to convince their former colleague / kind of friend to see things from the parent's point of view. Do you see, like, things just get a little weird in that. So, all right, now let's talk about why Master IEP Coach is different. That's the coaching program. I would love for you all to become Master IEP Coaches. That's the certificate program. And what I don't share, again, a whole lot kind of out there, is that I'm a certified high performance coach. And I got that certification for a very specific reason. Life is tough, right? Can we agree with that? Like, life is tough. Just when you think you got things like going really well, life comes crashing down. And I was a solopreneur and I was a single mom and I had to figure out how to do it all in that. And I found some strategies that worked really well. In fact, they worked so well that I went and I got certified in them and I brought them into my own coaching program. And I know that they worked. So this is a really big core value of Master IEP Coaches. So if this resonates with you, I can tell you are in the right spot. And this has to do with IEPs and your life, because you get to have both. You get to have a career where you build income from your IEP experience, and you get to have a life. Okay. It's not all consuming. So there's 3 criteria for high performance. One is that we perform above the standard norm. That means we are looking to create IEPs that go against what has been done in the past. That doesn't mean we're fighting. Okay. Goes against, means that we have different outlooks. That whole outcast thing, right? Remember I said sometimes we feel like an outcast because we come up with different ideas. Your brain is thinking of different solutions. Or you see things and you're like, it would be so easy if we just did this. How come we can't do this? Because what came easy to you as a solution is not easy to everybody else. Your brain thinks differently. That's going above the standard norm. This goes for your life too. I don't want you burnt out. I don't want you exhausted. I don't want you penny pinching. Okay? Above the standard norm for IEPs and for life. Okay? Standard number 2, for the long term. I already told you this is not a get rich quick kind of thing. No, for the long, this is long term. Like I'm deciding to do this. I know it's going to take time to build up my calendar of clients. I know that I'm going to, be working at this. I don't just snap my fingers and it's done. And then I know that once I have clients, I'm going to have quality clients that want to work with me year after year after year after year. That's my goal for you. I want you to have the ability to work with families over and over and over, not always in crisis. I want you to be able to be proactive versus reactive. I want you to create relationships, long-term relationships with your clients, long-term relationships in the special education community in a different way. For the long term also means about how do we solve IEP issues? Anybody seen an IEP with a whole lot of Band-Aid fixes in it? Well, we'll just put this extra goal in there. We'll just put this extra service in there. We'll just put and all of a sudden it's this like 75-page document that nobody can implement because nobody stepped back and said, let's look at the big picture. So that's for the long term. I'm seeing a lot of yes, 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 yes. Somebody else asked, what do state departments of education think about this? I don't think they think about us at all. That's what I think. I think they're like, you know what? They're doing their own thing, and it's our job to just here. We're like in the trenches, making things go. They don't care about us. So California has a list of advocates. Yep, and I can tell you some master IEP coaches are on that list. Some of those that are on the list have come over into the master IEP coach community. So most states do have a list in some way. There's a list everywhere of that. Again, I'm looking at this where you can use traditional advocacy in collaboration with, but just remember that this is also different because there's a lot of parents who don't want to hire advocates because they don't want to fight, but they do want help. And you get to fill that gap. In fact, I would say there are more parents who would rather have a guide, a coach, a consultant, a really smart person who's been there and done that, help them figure out what to do for their child versus I need to hire an advocate to fight, right? Okay, so now we have above the standard norm for the long term, well, maintaining positive relationships and well-being. This means at the IEP table and for yourself. This means finding whatever works for you in your season to create this income with your IEP experience while working with parents or speaking on stages or writing a blog, while being able to be, mom, daughter, friend, take care of yourself, being able to figure all that out. And we want to have that same perspective at the IEP table. One time I paused an IEP meeting, which is a very, very powerful strategy to say, can we just hit pause for a minute? So I paused an IEP meeting and actually asked the admin to come in to the hallway to talk. And I said, listen, you keep on saying no to these things, but I feel like you want to say yes. So my feeling is that you've been burned by an advocate or a parent in the past in this situation because they did X, Y, Z, even though they said they would do A, B, C. And she looked right at me and was like, how did you know? And I said, I've been doing this a long time. And I said, what can we put in writing to help make this work out so we can come together? Do you see? That's a relationship, right? Where you can read somebody at the table and say, I think I know how to get to a yes, but it's going to be in a different way. And we're going to bring the team together. All right. What are the upstart costs? I love that question. Give me a few more slides here and I'll kind of show you all together what that looks like in there. I want to make sure that you know that Master IEP Coach is rooted in collaboration. We're not just collaborative, we're rooted in collaboration. This is why I say rooted. Okay, rooted. We have a solid foundation of right versus wrong. And I believe in that foundation before I even believe in ideal law. Here's what I mean by that. In your IEP experience, whether the law said yes or no, do you know that there are some things that are right versus wrong, right? Like the law says we can do this, but I don't feel that's right. Or the law says we like need to do something, but I think we need to do it differently. You have a good moral compass if you're sitting here right now. You do. And you know the difference between right and wrong. And you know how to figure out to build a school day. And if you're not confident in that ability, you want to be confident in that ability. Like that's why you're here. Then, so that's a root. We're rooted in right versus wrong. So my colleagues and I discuss best practices versus special ed law all the time. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because that's your experience. The law is just a piece of paper, right? That we have to follow. And it's not a bad piece of paper. It's okay. It's good. I'm glad that we have it. Do you know that the special education law was enacted in 1975? My brother was born in 1977, which means that my brother is the first generation of fully educated adults with disabilities. I love that law. Thank you for giving my brother an education. It also motivated me to go be a teacher because there was not best practices from what I could see from my brother, right? I want to be part of the solution. Ideal law, I can tell you a big piece of ideal law throughout Master IEP Coach, purpose and findings. We all know that a child's supposed to receive a free and appropriate public education, right? Faith, we hear it all the time, right? What we forget about is the next two pieces of that. Right after that, it says a child is entitled to a free and appropriate public education to meet their unique needs and to prepare them for further education, employment, and independent living. That's our root in special education. How do we work together to have an appropriate education, which is totally different depending on who you are at the table and what the family values are and what the school, I mean, like there's so many things, what appropriate is. That's when there's fighting in special education because what I think is appropriate is different than what you think is appropriate. We could both be right. Okay. But are we meeting the child's unique needs and are we preparing them for further education, employment, and independent living? When we rise up out of kind of the nitty gritty stuff that's happening in the negative situations that are happening in special education, and we say, what is the right thing to do? And are we meeting the child's unique needs? And are we preparing them for the future? And then how do we get the IEP going in that direction? Wonderful things happen. This also allows you to be proactive versus reactive. One of my favorite clients came to me. She says, you know what? I think my child's IEP is okay, but I saw the work that you've been doing for people. And can I just pay you to look over the IEP, see what you can find? Like, I don't want to start a fight with anybody. I just want to know, like, is there anything else that I could be doing? Sure. So I looked through it and I said, you know what? Actually, it looks pretty good. And I taught her some things. This isn't really a SMART goal the way this is written. This is probably not great here. Do you know what this means? But I didn't pick a fight over it. Do you know what I mean? Like you're going to see things in a document where you're just like, I don't know if this is written exactly right, but it's not worth this. Okay. But there was this section where her son had made a ton of progress in communication, but he didn't have any assistive technology, none. And I was like, whoa, hold up. I think that I shouldn't say that. He had low tech. He had no high tech assistive technology. And I said, I think that maybe you want to talk to the team about how do we meet his unique needs and how do we support him to be prepared for the future? And how do we integrate high tech at that time, iPads, huge high tech. All right. How do we do high tech to get this going? She brought it to the team in a collaborative way. He had some trials on some devices and he ended up with a device. And I ended up seeing him at a conference. I spoke at their nonprofits conference. It happens every other year I go there. And he actually comes up to me and starts having a full conversation with me that I would have never had he not had that. It made my heart filled with joy. The parent did it by me ghostwriting letters and coaching her on what to say. She was able to get what she needed for her son, and it changed his life. And that I was a small piece of that. That was mom being proactive. That was me giving her some of my experience, saying, let's try this. using my strategies, and then mom executing that. All right, let's keep on going here. Experience into income. This is a big difference in our community. Our community is not based, again, on the, you don't have to memorize the law. The law is important. You need to know how to use it as a reference book. You need to know what's in it so you can figure out how to get to what's right for the child. We do a lot of focusing on your ideal client. This is the part that trips people up. You think you have to solve every problem in special education. I don't know if I can go help parents because what if I don't know the answer to something? It's not your job to solve special education as a whole. It's your job to turn your experience into income. How do you do that? You found your ideal client that benefits from your experience and you help them solve their problems. Tell me in the chat box, what's something that you have a ton of experience? Like is it inclusion planning? Is it assistive tech? Is it, have you been a teacher in a self-contained classroom and life skills? Like you're just like, I know what is needed for a child to be prepared for the future. Where's your area where you're just like, I could talk all day on this and I have so many stories to tell. Dyslexia, seeing things from the outside and giving new ideas. This is where I would coach you who said that. I would say, yeah, let's get more specific. Let's get more specific on that. We all need new ideas, but we can't solve everybody's problems. Think of a specific story. Think of that story. Goal writing. I love that. One of my biggest kind of stage presentations that I used to do, I don't do it anymore. IEP goal writing for the real world. I did not teach how to write SMART goals. I didn't teach teachers how to write it. I taught parents and teachers how to choose the right IEP goals so the child was prepared for further education, employment, independent living, and we weren't wasting people's time. Because how many teachers in this room feel like you've wasted time on IEP goals that didn't really matter for the child's future? Eats me up inside. That's me as a sister talking. Right? When I would see my brother working on things where I'm like, how's that going to help him? Why is he doing that in school? All right, LRE, executive functioning, emotional disability, inclusion, helping determine LRE, overview of the IEP process, medically fragile and profound students who with communication, who progress and communicate. Yes, yes, yes. Incorporating accommodations with ease, behavioral and emotional support. Love all this. Do you see how you're all different? Do you see why your experience is necessary? Because not everybody needs help with dyslexia. Not everybody needs help with the behavior emotional support. Not everybody needs help with the inclusion piece. But there are people who need help in all of your areas. So finding your ideal client is so important. And it's what makes filling your calendar easier than just finding clients. Because you're telling stories in a networking way that connects you to people who need your experience, and they will pay for the shortcuts that you have. Can you agree that you have shortcuts in every one of those? If you put something in the chat box, do you have shortcuts? You have shortcuts. So absolutely, you have shortcuts that could save parents so much time, so much tears, so many tears. So we focus on your ideal client. We focus on you making this work with your schedule and your season of life. I'm not telling you how to run things. I'm telling you how you can run them, and then we fit it in to your life. And we focus on you becoming the idea bringer, solution finder, and team builder at the IEP table. Can share with you here that Shay's a teacher. She feels more confident because now she feels like she can help parents, because helping parents outside of the classroom is different than helping parents while you're inside of the classroom. You need different tools, you need some different language, you need some different templates. You have all the knowledge, we just have to transfer it in a different way. Molly is a teacher. She said they do not teach any of this when we go to special education. The reason I put that in there is because some of you are going to go to sign up and you're going to see that there's special education strategies on the page that I say, these are included in coaching with me. And you're going to say, I already know these things. I don't think I want to pay for them. I promise you this is different. This is not school. This is experience on how to use those at the IEP table, because knowing it and using it from a different role is different. All right, you can see Cora here. So she loves ghostwriting. So she helped a parent write an input statement and the team was like, yes, I wish more parents would do this. You know, how many times do you hear schools say, gosh, I wish all parents would bring advocates? I'm not saying like the collaborative, I'm like, oh, I wish they all would. No, typically you don't hear that. But when you have strategies then where schools are like, oh, I wish more parents communicated like this. Sometimes they don't even know that you're behind the scenes. They don't even know. Many of my clients, they didn't even tell the school they were working with me. I functioned like a consultant behind the scenes. And that's okay because they didn't want to upset their IEP team. They just wanted help as a parent. So there's all different ways to execute your knowledge. Okay, so we talked about how you can support parents, finding clients, creating income. How come nobody's asked me some tough questions about income? Huh? I'm just going to call it out. Come on. You guys have questions. Why are you guys scared about the money conversation? I'm going to call it out. Come on. You got to ask me the questions. So, and then we talked about master IP coach. Why is this different? We're rooted in collaboration. We're looking at high performance. We're looking at being proactive and solving problems with your experience that you have. And you might be feeling like this. Okay, that's great, Catherine. You told me all the things, but how do I do it? And what am I supposed to do with all of this? And where's the money? Like, let's talk about it. Okay, if you're watching the replay, I want you to go ahead and send me an email with your questions about this, but we are going to do Q&A, and I'm going to share with you how to work with us, work with me right now. Okay, so here we go. How much do you charge? What are possible fees and salaries? What's the standard for different levels of support? How much do you charge? How much do you charge? Yes. Will the webinar be shared out? Yes. Let's see. Would love to know about money. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Income isn't my main focus. My love for education is why I'm interested. That's great too. That's great too. For me, I needed this to work because I needed to put food on my table. This was it. This is what I wanted to do. And so charging parents, does it sometimes feel awkward if somebody calls you out on it? Sure, it can, but being really solid in that this is your career, whether it's part-time or it's full-time, or maybe some months you need $500 and $1,000 would be great. Wherever you're at, I use the word career very lightly here, okay? Because a lot of times people think career and they're thinking like, you know, 70, 80, 90, $100,000. I'm not saying that's not possible. What I'm saying is if you're like, I could use $500 because my grocery bill is terrible, great. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Okay. So what did I typically charge? Here's something to know. I am not I'm going to call this a traditional consultant model in special education or advocate model. It's very by the hour. It's very crisis situation. I don't think any of you who outlined what you want your lifestyle to look like really envision yourself taking the call at 7 o'clock at night on a Sunday because the parent's freaking out because they forgot they had a meeting on Monday and they want to pay you $97 for an hour consult on a Sunday night. Okay? You don't want that. You want to look at creating a business or income that is sustainable, repeatable, profitable. Because there are expenses in doing it, right? Sustainable, repeatable, and profitable. So with that, I'm going to give you general suggested fees. Now, no, I can't guarantee income. I have to say that, guys. We're on the internet, okay? It's just what they make you do. Can't guarantee income. I'm not telling you what to charge. I'm not promising any of this. I'm sharing experience, okay? Typically, a master IP coach is going to bring a family in for 3 hours of consulting. The 3 hours of coaching, consulting, advocacy, whatever you end up calling it, okay? 3 hours, $425. The parent has any time in 12 months to use those 3 hours. See, because we're not always taking crisis. We're taking people who just want to talk to us. We're taking people who want to prep for their IEP meeting, and then they want to talk to us after their IEP meeting. I'm typically not charging a parent to look through their file because we're not doing big file reviews. You typically need the current IEP and who here. Be honest with yourself. You could absolutely, if a parent gave you their top 3 concerns, you could look in the IEP in 15 minutes, you could figure out where the problem is. Come on, you know you could, right? Oh, my child's not making progress in reading. Is this goal being worked on? Is this accommodation in place? When's the last time you had data? Right? Like you can start to get to the root pretty quickly. So I don't charge parents for that because other people nickel and dime parents for that. I charge parents for writing letters, talking on the phone to them or Zoom meetings, okay? Or answering their emails and texts. You guys are going to ask about meetings. Hang on a minute. Many clients don't even want you at their meeting. So there's become a client with me, 3 hours, $425. If you want me at your meeting, here's the flat rate. Flat rate could be $500 for meeting attendance. And then you say, here's what's included in meeting attendance. We'll do a 15-minute prep. Now they're already your client. This is a key. I only attended meetings for those who were my client. That's how I stayed out of going into unknown situations, didn't end up in crisis situations, didn't get thrown under the bus, because I am not walking into an IEP meeting virtually or in person blind to the big picture. Okay. So this is what it costs to work with me. We can use these hours any way you want to. This is what it costs to go to a meeting. For me to go to a meeting with you, this is what's included. Again, I teach you all those details, so you're making the most of your time. Then I have clients that just want to have regular chats with me. They want me to be proactive in helping them find things that, like on a monthly basis. Are we making progress? Can you look at this data? What's going on? Johnny keeps leaving his coat on the bus. Like they just need more. And those are my VIP clients. VIP clients, anywhere from $1,200 to $1,800 a year. Now, there are many clients who will end up paying you $3,000, $4,000 in a year. That is a very, very intense year. There are many clients that all they will ever spend with you is $425 a year, so they have a chance to talk to you. Both of those clients, extremely valuable because you're building relationships with them. I had families that hired me in second grade, picturing one very specifically, hired me in second grade all the way through high school. She knew every year, this is what I pay to talk with Catherine. This is what I pay for her to come to an IEP meeting. I never raised my fees on her because she just knew. Now, new clients, I raised my fees. That's how I built trust. So my calendar was full and I had a great base of clients and I had repeatable, sustainable, profitable because of it being set up that way. Do you have to set it up that way? No. Can you choose to do whatever you want and say, I want to do $97 1 hour consults. That's what I want to do. You can go for it. I can tell you, I'm going to be totally blunt with you. There are people who start out this way and then they're like, wait, but I need some money. So I'm going to do $97 consults. And then they're like, wait, this is not sustainable. It's just as much work to try it this way, if not more work, than to go back to. So there's all different ways. And I'm going to support you in however you see this working for you. And I'm going to share my experience with you on how to make it work. Let's see. I'm going to scroll up just a little bit. Here we go. Based on families' needs and income. So I'm going to tell you, I don't do any sliding scales. I don't like to judge because I don't care if somebody makes $250,000 a year as their family income. They might have a child that has medical expenses that are $400,000 a year. I'm not going to judge somebody on their income because I don't know their life. And so for me, I had my fees where they needed to be for me. I'm not going to judge other people on that. Okay. That being said, then somebody says, it depends on where people are at. I also did not change my fees based on where people are at. My fees are for where I'm at in my part of the country, and other people from other parts of the country will pay the fees that I need in my area for me because it's your business. Okay. So if you are constantly bending all the time, it will not be repeatable, sustainable, or profitable. And I don't want family A talking to family B saying that they got different rates. One rate. Okay. Now, how do I help people who can't afford me? I put a lot of free content out, blogs, social media, my newsletter. I give a lot of free things out. I also partner with nonprofits who pay me to speak. And the families, a lot of times who cannot afford me, will go to the nonprofit events. I want you guys to hear that. When you have a heart, because I know I've been doing this for a long time, almost 8 years of coaching, okay? There's like, but I want to help so many people who can't afford me. I understand. And you can partner with organizations who can then help families. There's all different ways to do the partnerships. I've done it many, many different ways. How would I support a bilingual parent? We have bilingual master IEP coaches. So that's typically when we have a bilingual parent, we do a referral. We say, hey, I think you should go work with somebody else. Is this based on a 1 hour meeting? What if it's continued? I love that. My meeting fees was per meeting. If a meeting was 1 hour, or if a meeting was 3, typically they're not going to be more than, unless I know that it's going to be like a 3-4 hour meeting. Oh, makes me sick just thinking about it, because there's going to be multiple meetings together, that kind of like eligibility and an annual together in there. It's per meeting. What if it's continued? Majority of the time, it's not going to be continued because you're going to learn strategies. So they're not continued. Okay. But it's per meeting. And if it was 1 hour versus 3 hours, I didn't care. Because here's the thing, a plumber has a fee to come fix the pipes in your house. You're not paying him typically by the hour. Like he's like, my fee is, $250 just to come out to your house. And he fixes it in 15 minutes. Why? Because he had the wisdom of where to bang on the pipe to fix it. You did not have that wisdom. He had the wisdom, right? You have the wisdom. So if I can fix something in an IEP meeting in an hour, my fee is still worth it because I was able to get done what needed to get done. Okay, so I think I answered all of those questions there. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so let's talk about what if, all these questions. I see a lot of note taking. This is when everybody gets quiet. They really start thinking about, what does this money look like? How many clients would I need? If I just need $500 a month, I only need 1 to 2 clients a month. So how would I, and I'm gonna say, if you need $500 a month profit, you need 2 clients a month. Okay, that's a pretty good basis right there. So what if you had private coaching that worked on your schedule, not just create your own schedule, the coaching works on your schedule. Help with all the tech, setting up your website, help you figure out how to price your services, give you all the templates to set up your business, give you all the tools that you need to work with your clients, help you through it step by step. And I'll put you in a community that you'll be surrounded by other master IEP coaches who are doing exactly what you're doing. That's what it looks like to work together. All of those things. So I'm inviting you to come work with me to turn your IEP experience into income with confidence. I want you to have confidence in doing this as a master IEP coach in 2025. This is what it looks like. Private coaching with me, small group, once a week. That is absolutely recorded. You don't have to take time out of your calendar if you don't want to, okay? Group coaching it's absolute replays. That's the biggest question I get. Like, I can't show up on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. That's okay, because you have access to me one-on-one. I'll explain how that works in a minute. But I promise you that you're going to make more progress by taking the leap and saying, let me get started on this, than you're ever going to get while dreaming or Googling about how to become an advocate, how to build a website, and how much do advocates make. Because that's what a lot of people do, especially if you've been wanting to do this for a long time. You go in spurts of like, well, let me Google this. Let me figure this out. Well, what if I did it this way? Well, how about maybe if? All right. I want to help you finally take that step forward. All right, here's what you get. One-on-one coaching by text and voice message. So when you choose to work with me, there's an app called Voxer. If you're not familiar with Voxer, it doesn't matter, okay? It's an app. You can send me text and voice messages anytime you want to. I answer you Monday through Friday once a day. So do you see how running your own business, creating your own income this way, you get to set your boundaries, your schedule, your time. I respect that. You want to work on Sunday night, you want to work Saturday morning, you want to work Thursday at midnight, I don't care. Okay? You're like, I can't sleep. I watched this training. I watched it. Maybe you're going to watch the replay of the group coaching, and it's going to be late on Thursday night, and you have a question during it. It's just like if you were live. You literally pick up your phone, you send me a question. Hey, Catherine, I'm watching the replay. I got a question. You guys were talking about XYZ. I want to know. You send me a message. The next day, I'll send you a message back. Hey, Catherine, look at my website. Does this sound right? How do I do this? I feel stuck. Imposter syndrome is real. I can't find a client. Where's this? I got to go set up a table at a resource fair. Somebody asked me to speak on stage. All of these things. I don't know how to collect payment. I don't know this part. I don't know that. All of it. Okay. So live group coaching, downloadable client tools, downloadable business tools, everything delivered from experience. Okay. Also, in the first 30 days, you earn your first Master IEP Coach certificate. This is where you get to say, I'm a Master IEP Coach. Okay. It's a trademarked program. To get trademarked, it's a lot of work. Okay. This means that you've gone through your first 30 days, and I'm going to send you a t-shirt. That's, I think, on the next slide. I'm going to send you a t-shirt to prove it. Because, you know, if you have the t-shirt, that means it's real. Okay. But you earn your first Master IEP Coach certificate. Then every 90 days, and this is new. So if I happen to have any current Master IEP coaches who happen to sneak into this and they're listening to it, they're going to say, what is this? For 2025, we're going to have new Master IEP Coach certificates every 90 days, which means that we're going to fine tune specific skills every 90 days to help you level up your leadership, to help your ideal client get the change that they need at the IEP table. So first one in 30 days, then every 90 days, collectively as a community, we're working towards the next certificate every 90 days. And I can tell you, this is Nancy. Nancy actually joined within the last year. And she even said within the first 30 days, blown away at all the information. Here's the thing. I do not hold back things when you join. So you're going to get so much information that, quite honestly, it's at a risk to me because you may feel overwhelmed when you log into the library. But I want you to be able to go at your own pace, because some of you are going to binge watch and some of you are going to take it, 1 hour at a time kind of thing. But all the support is there. From day one, you get to text me. From week one, you get to show up to the group coaching or have the replays. You get all of the tools that you need to get started ready for you. You get the opportunity to be listed in the Master IEP Coach directory after your first 30 days. You get your complete business starter kit. You get all the trademark tools. You get your welcome swag, right? You get all the things. This is where, if you have questions, does it include? You just need to put that in the chat box, because there's a good chance that whatever you said, does this include? The answer is yes. I just don't have it on the screen. Now, these dollar amounts are real. It's what people have paid me and currently pay me a la carte for things. But in 2025, I've put it all together into one place. I no longer have multiple programs. I no longer have multiple options. I no longer have that. It's all in one place, because the change that we need in special education, I've seen the positive change of the last 8 years inside of the Master IEP Coach community. And this is where I'm doubling down. In fact, I am stepping off the stage when it comes to teaching IEP things for the first time in my career, because I am all in. I have been all in with the Master IEP Coach community, and I was still going on stage teaching about IEPs. I'm not doing that anymore. I am all in. You guys get all of my attention in this. All right. Here we go. Monthly value would be over $1,000. Yearly value, $14,000. If anybody has never done business coaching in their past, you may look at this and go, you're insane. I'm going to tell you, I paid that for business coaching, and I've paid more. I will tell you that I have invested in the last 10 years to make sure that I have the best of the best tools and worked on my own skills so I can be the best coach for you when it comes to building your website so you're professional, when it comes to getting your message out, when it comes to doing those things. But here's the thing. This is my full-time job. And that's why I put the investment. I have been coaching parents, teachers, admins, and therapists long enough that I know the rhythm that you're going to have in getting this set up. I know how this works for you. So this is what it looks like. Oh gosh. And the screen is frozen again. There we go. $97 a month or $970 a year. All of it. So if there's something that you're like, does it include? Ask now. $97 a month, cancel anytime. I'm not going to send you your swag until you've been with us for 90 days. Okay? $970 a year. You make the investment to come with me for a year. I'm going to send you your swag immediately, and I'm going to give you a bonus onboarding strategy call. You and I are going to get together. I'm going to learn more about you right away through a coaching call and help you strategically put together your Master IP Coach path so you know exactly which steps to take in the library, exactly what you need to go forward. I'm going to look in the chat box. Do we have time to think about joining? Yes. What are the requirements? You have to have experience at the IEP table. Okay. Will we always have library access after being certified? No. This is it's a pay as you go. Okay. So will you always have library access? No. Can you download your certificates and keep them? Yes. But this is not something where it's a one-time fee and then it collects digital dust. This is an active coaching program. This is you saying, I want to turn my IEP experience into income. And I want Catherine to coach me on how to set up my website, what to charge, how to find clients. And if you get stuck on any of those things, you're coming to me or you're coming to the community. This also includes, let's just say you get a client and you're like, oh, my client said XYZ. I've never heard that before. You can ask me, you can ask the client. Let's see. What if you have credentials? Public tends to look at schools and sell advocates with no school experience. Credentials, here's the thing. I have very, very successful Master IP coaches in the Master IP coach community that have no other credential except for I'm a parent who sits at the IEP table for my child and I can think creatively and help other parents. Okay. So do we use Master IP coach on the business cards? Yes, you can. There are very specific trademark copyright. It's kind of like you can't take the Coca-Cola logo and go make your own swag, right? Coca-Cola would get mad. So you can't take the Master IP Coach logo, the Master IP Coach with the registered trademark and go put it anywhere you want to and use it any way you want to. But can you use it as a credential? Yes, you can. Like I said, and I've been very protective over what goes out. So this way, when people Google, what is a Master IEP Coach? That they get the information that you're proud to be part of this community, that you like to use that title. All right. $970 every year. Yes. So you can cancel after the first year if you choose to. That's fine, but it's $970 a year. So it is a coaching program. So I'm going to continue to coach you. I have people that come in for 1 year. I have people that come in, they've been in for, let's see, my longest, I have a few originals from way back in 2017. I would say majority of our community who are active right now, they've been in our community for 3 to 5 years. Remember, the program is going into its 8th year in there because it's ever changing, right? Business is ever changing. You need to be surrounded by people who understand what you're doing. We're talking about, websites look different now than they did 8 years ago. Social media strategies, different. Building your email list, what to charge, special education struggle. Plus, again, we've become a community that people absolutely love to. In fact, we get together once a year. That's not even listed in here. We get together once a year if you choose, in Tampa, Florida, in July, and it becomes a VIP weekend. So again, it's not like an online course where I'm just going to check the boxes and move on. So let's see, paraprofessional and parent of a child with autism. So Tamara, absolutely. Let's see. Somebody else that's here who is already part of the program. Katie, go ahead and send me an email with that question, please. Is the yearly fee grandfathered in? Love that question. Yes. Just like I mentioned for my clients, when I had one-on-one clients, you are grandfathered in. So you don't have to worry about this going on sale either. That is so frustrating to me, right? When you purchase something, you enroll in something, and then it's discounted. It's never going to be less than this. It's not. There are people who came in 2017, 2018, 2019. Their prices are different. But it doesn't go backwards. So I'm not running a Black Friday sale next year. I'm not running a Happy New Year sale. And, next month, I'm not running an end of the school year sale. That's not how it works. It's the same thing that I just shared with you about how you have a fee for your services and you provide that service. And I'm not going to make a judgment. I'm not going to put things on sale. I'm not going to do that. And that can you do monthly and then change to yearly or vice versa? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, you can do that. What other questions do you guys have? Just remember, this is for you. If you have experience at the IEP table, you refuse to get involved in the IEP drama. Like, we are like the least drama-filled community. Like, special education is known for drama, and we are like the opposite of that, because we're like, okay, here's the struggles. How do we, and we have all these positive solutions coming through. And you want to turn your IEP experience into income. You can go join over at masteriepcoach.com/mentorship. I'm going to be emailing this out to all of you. I am going to tell you that I would love to have you guys, let's see, how do we sign up? There you go. masteriepcoach.com/mentorship. And then let's see, Flavia, I see that you can send me questions about that. Their current Master IEP coach. Also, I can explain to you the difference of what you have versus what this is for somebody who's been around here for a while. If you go monthly to year, is $970, or is it monthly fee times 12? No, it's $970. It's $970. So if you say, hey, I'm at the $970 rate and I would like to go to a year because I want to save 2 months, you just send us an email and we'll be like, okay, go sign up. And when we see your yearly come in, we'll cancel your monthly. Okay? We make it super easy. Like, I totally get it. You might want to come in and be like, is this real? Like, is she really going to answer all my texts? Can I really use this template for a website? Can I really figure all this out? What I want you to remember, many of you are used to signing up for online programs where you sign up, you get your library access, you go through the program, and then you're like, okay, this is a coaching program. You're going through, and then you and I are talking. You get the most out of it when you ask me questions, when you tell me to look at your website, when you say, hey, I need help, when you say, I have this idea. It's not something that we just go through, check all the boxes, and I'm a Master IEP coach and my calendar is full. It's all a work in progress. So I would love to have you guys come on in. Let me see. Let me go ahead and go back to the sign up page there. Do we have any other questions? I think I got, if I missed your question, if you could retype it and you're still here, go ahead and retype it in there so I can make sure that I get to that. Otherwise, what I can share with you is that our Master IEP Coach community really is filled with parents, teachers, admins, and therapists who are dedicated to become the idea bringers, solution finders, and team builders at the IEP table to create income from their experience by leading others. Let's see. Need time to process. Love that. How long do we have? Can I get in next month? Yeah, you can come in next month. That's fine. Here's the thing. I'm not doing a timer countdown. Now, you most likely are going to get an email from me that's going to say there is a deadline to get a bonus. That one I do, because a bonus is a bonus, right? New Year's is different. Setting your goals, putting your vision together. You know, end of the school year is different. Summer goals, back to school is different. Are there sometimes different types of bonuses and trainings based on the season? Absolutely. But the price isn't going to change for you. Once you come in, you're in, and the price is not going to ever go lower. I can't guarantee about higher, right? Inflation, it gets us. But it's not going to go lower, and I'm not going to lock you out. Let's see. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I surely hope to see you inside of the Master IEP Coach community. I would love to be sending you some texts, some messages, and help you get launched into turning your IEP experience into income. Your community needs you. Parents need you. You know what? Special education, it can be a beautiful, wonderful process. We just need to have some collaboration at a whole new level, some new ideas, some of the ideas that others have not seen, but you have experienced. So if you guys have any other questions, go ahead, shoot me an email. Otherwise, head over to masteriepcoach.com/mentorship. I would love to get you up and started and have your first Master IEP Coach certificate done in January 2025. All right, guys, I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.